Hello and welcome to Vibrant Living Diaries, the podcast where we unlock the secrets of how you can renew your inner vitality and relearn what it means to live a life with energy and purpose. I'm your host, Danielle Grobman, and I'm proudly here with the International Wellness Alliance. This alliance is home to experts across the world whose specialties allow us to cover the entire spectrum of health and wellness, and bring that knowledge to you right here on this platform. Just as a disclaimer, the stances our guests take on this podcast and the topics we cover are not representative of our individual perspectives. We are here to gain a holistic understanding of all points of view. All the information and advice we give here are purely for entertainment purposes. If you're planning on making any lifestyle and/or health changes based on what we cover here, please consult your main medical wellness practitioner to find the best next steps for you to take on your wellness journey. Let's begin. Today, the essence of our conversation revolves around the themes of resilience, the entrepreneurial spirit, and the incredible power of mindset. I'm absolutely thrilled to introduce a guest whose life story reads like an epic saga, Mr. E.G. Sebastian. In his early 20s, Sebastian's parents moved from Hungary to the USA, leaving him to fend for himself alone in Hungary. But with a voracious appetite for reading and learning, it wasn't long before he ventured into the world of entrepreneurship. At the tender age of 24, as we will hear from Sebastian in a moment, he quoted that he had nothing but $5 in his pocket and that he'd be a millionaire or homeless. And what followed was a roller coaster ride of highs and lows, navigating homelessness and $300,000 in debt to interpreting for the Chinese community in Hungary and making groundbreaking deals that eventually led him to his first million, and then doubling it all by the age of 26. So with that being said, Sebastian, thank you for being here.
It's great to be here with you. Thank you for the invitation and for this opportunity.
I think the way that I would want to dive into this to begin properly is starting way back from your childhood when we first chat before, and how you were telling me about how you went from basically a straight F to a straight A student. And I was wondering what aspect of your childhood kind of led you from that point A to point B.
This is a dangerous question because I love to speak about those years.
Well, we're here for
Uh,
it. Let's dive
yes,
in.
I had a undiagnosed ADHD. Got in trouble all the time. Got into fights every day. Quit school at 16, and even while in school, it was so painful because I didn't understand. Like we had physics from grade fifth, I think, and chemistry from grade 4. I had no idea what they were talking about. Algebra and all that. I did not. And it was so painful sitting in there, being terrified that the teacher will call on me. So I skipped school a lot. And then I quit school at 16. And I'll try to make this really short, but the girlfriend, her father moved to the United States, and she said, I have 2 judo books. She knew I was interested in judo. Would you like them? And I'm like, dang, I lived in a communist country. Judo, karate, yoga, all of those were illegal. So having a book on it, like, wow, yeah. So she gave me these 2 books, and it said yoga. And I'm like, oh my God, how do you read judo from yoga? I was 15 when I got the books. I put them in my library. I never looked at them because when I opened, I never heard of yoga before. I flipped through it and it was all, you know how yoga looks, right?
Yeah.
And so it was strange. And when I was 17, one day I looked through my library and I see these books and I'm like, let me see what this is about. And it was talking about inner peace and calm and all kind of stuff that I didn't have. It had meditation in it as well. So I started meditating. I started yoga, and by age 18, interestingly enough, around the same time, I also picked up a book on autosuggestion. It was talking about the Russian world champions who were using these techniques to enhance their performance. But what I started with was like, I'm calm in every moment. No matter what happens around me, I stay calm because I used to lose my temper all the time. So I'm calm. So I would say 20 times in the morning, 20 times in the evening. I would meditate. I started doing yoga. And by 18, I mean, my complete I wouldn't say personality, but persona changed. Like I was the calmest person. I became more focused. I went back to high school. I became a straight A student. My cousin years later attended the same high school. And the teacher said, are you related to Irvin Sebastian? And he's like, yeah. It's like, wow, you have a big name to live up to because he was my best student ever. That's the leap I made because of meditation and auto suggestion. And when I got to college also, I got awards like All Academic American, whatever nominee, and President's List, Dean's List. So, I mean, it was transformative. So that's
Definitely.
my short answer to your long question.
In terms of what young entrepreneurs think of nowadays when they hear the term meditation, some of them roll their eyes to it. What advice would you give to young people that are trying to get into this art of meditation, of yoga, of just getting more mindful, if they either don't fully see the benefits of it, if they just think, oh, that's just a hippie thing, or they haven't really found that inner zen, so they don't think that it quote unquote works?
I'm so glad you asked that question. And those who think that I sent in the questions and she's just asking what I sent in, this is not one of those interviews. um, so this is not just for young people, for anyone, because so many people misunderstand meditation. They think that you have to sit on a rock in lotus position and sit there for hours. No, meditation, you can do 1 minute. Start with 1 minute. And let me just make a quick parenthesis. What you don't know can hurt you badly, can hold you back badly in life. I used to not able to raise my hands above my shoulder levels. Some martial arts and some other stupid things combination that injured both of my shoulders. And finally, I decided to go get surgery. And the doctor said, "Have you been through physical therapy?" I'm like, "That's stupid. Doing those little weights. I mean, who wants to?" That's a waste of time. And he said, "Well, just give it a try for 30 days. If it doesn't help, we'll operate you." And I'm horrified of anesthesia and knives. But I was ready because I was in so much pain and it disabled me from so many things in life. So I did physical therapy. I'm like, I'll give it 30 days. Oh my God. In like 2 weeks, the pain was gone. And I suffered for like 2, 3 years. So yeah, what you don't know can hurt you. And so I'm so grateful to that doctor that he didn't just jump to the knife. But meditation is like that too. Most people misunderstand it. They don't do it. And if you start even with just a minute, I mean, just focus on a flower or on a thought. What I suggest people to just the simplest way to meditate is ideally close your eyes, or if you have a beautiful horizon, look at the horizon and just breathe in on a count of 6. If you want, you count. I mean, usually I count. I'm at the point where I don't always count, but just focus. Feel that breath coming into your stomach, into your thorax, into your upper lungs, into your upper chest. Hold it for 2, 3 seconds and then slowly just let it out. Whether you do it through your nose, I mean, breathe in through your nose. That's my suggestion. Whether you let it out through your nose or mouth, it doesn't matter. But just commit to 1 minute. Ideally, 2, 3 times a day. Take breaks, especially us who are in front of a computer every 2 hours or so, ideally every hour. Turn your gaze away. Take a few stretches, few deep breaths. Yeah, I do meditative stretching also. So my alarm rings every 2 hours, and so I call it mental fitness. I take those breaks to recharge my brain. So I do a few deep breaths and a few Tai Chi moves or a few stretches. Meditation, highly recommended. It will give you some superpowers that will differentiate you from others, like mental control, because many of you who are listening, you are under the illusion that you have free will. That's a joke. You don't have free will. Everything is happening. You're in a hamster wheel. You wake up, you do the same moves every day. You go brush your teeth, dress up, go to work. You just respond to all the stimuli that are set up in your environment. You can prove that you have free will when you can take those few minutes for meditation, when you can take that 30 minutes to an hour to work out. But even the workout becomes a habit after a while. Even the meditation becomes a habit after a while, and it's not part of free will. So this is just another thing to add in there, that practice your free will. See if you can do things that you want to do but you have not been doing. It's because you're not exercising your free will. Meditating is one of those things where you can exercise your free will.
I like that. I like the idea of the mental strength that you talk about when it comes to meditation and yoga and just everything that accompanies that. And also like with entrepreneurship, how it all helped you in your growth, not only from when you were a straight F to a straight A student, but then also as you got on within business. And that's actually something that I wanted to dive a bit into because I am quite curious. The last we spoke, you said at 24 with $5 in my pocket, I said I'd either be homeless or a millionaire. And then you said, and 8 short months later, I achieved that goal. I was homeless. And so many people, when they hear that, they think, okay, if a guy like this is saying that, then that means 8 months later he was the millionaire. So
I,
what
I
was it
always I
like?
always keep a pause and I say, and 8 months later I reached my goal. Sometimes I have big crowds, 100 plus people, and I keep a pause, and people start applauding, and I say to the mic, and I became homeless, and then they are falling off their chairs laughing.
What was that transition like? Going from super hopeful, like I'm gonna make it, like I'm gonna have this money or I'll be homeless, and that was maybe like a side thought, and then that side thought came true basically.
I'm not religious. This might rub some people the wrong way, but I'm an atheist, 99%. Yet I am like Jesus. I live in this earth, but I'm not of this earth. So the way I went through this is not how most people would probably go through this. I was Zen. My parents lived in the United States. I lived in Budapest, Hungary. I had no family around me. I did not have to prove anything to anybody. So when I became homeless, it was just what just was like a log. It just is. So it's Zen, right? I didn't have anxiety. I didn't have sleepless nights. Out of loneliness, I had sleepless nights, and I was walking the streets of Budapest at 3 o'clock in the morning. But no, I stayed absolutely calm in the midst of that. For close to a year, I didn't make any money, but it was just part of my journey. I knew that I will achieve something big. I did not want to be part of somebody building somebody else's dream. And if that meant that I will be homeless for the rest of my life, that was okay. And homeless in the way that, yeah, I lived at the church shelter, but after a while I started working side jobs. I painted a bakery. I worked in construction, digging trenches. Some guys blew up because when they make the foundations of these giant hotels, you have to find the cables. I mean, this is Budapest. There are lots of electric cables and all kind of stuff. So you have to carefully find them. And this guy, he put his pickaxe too deep, and two of them, they blew up. I think they survived it, but both got very severe injuries. So I took over that job. So I sustained myself with these side jobs, but I was working on my dream consistently, studying business, going through marketing programs, management programs, all kind of anything that I could find. And I was not very smart, so I just took whatever come my way. So my first course that I entered was a network marketing. I didn't know what that was. It just sounded like marketing, network marketing, door to door sales, which I completely misunderstood. I'm like, that's dumb. I will not go door to door. I went to these big companies trying to sell products that were priced for. Yeah, I wasn't very smart.
When it comes to entrepreneurs nowadays, something that is far too relevant and that a lot of people can admit to is when they have a kind of setback, then they immediately get discouraged and they're immediately like, oh my gosh, is this all for nothing? What is my life path? What am I doing? And they start to question everything. You said that even in the midst of all this, you were very zen and you didn't really question anything and you just kept going. For someone that does get very overwhelmed, does get stressed, doesn't really see the opportunities that they have at hand, you found jobs doing random things that you could just find. You found opportunities you said that I could just find. What advice would you have to someone in terms of finding that resourcefulness within them?
There is lots of misinformation out there. Also, some people might want to slap me for saying this, but this generation is very spoiled. When I was growing up, worked on a farm with my grandparents from age, I don't know, 4 or 3. We got a little tool and we were trying to work it, and then they would take it away from us because we would cut out the corn. We were supposed to just cut out the weeds, but we were out there for like 10 hours in the hot sun. We were picking apples and cherries and chestnuts from very early age, and we were getting paid also for it in the summer. We took summer jobs. Well, another thing here in the US, very cool, like you teenagers, you work from like age 15 in like real businesses. Back home, we didn't have that. We just could work farm jobs mostly. I don't know if this is relevant at all. Like the misinformation that I'm talking about is like law of attraction, dream big and it will happen and all. No, you have to be ready. So you have to build those skills and work on your mind and your mindset. So again, meditation is crucial because if a storm comes, like you lose your job, you cannot pay your bills, and now you're getting overwhelmed and freaking out and all that, that doesn't help. Not only that doesn't help, but it holds you back from thinking clearly. So it's crucial that whatever happens, you are able to stay calm and take the right action. Like I have a good friend, a client for now for like 6 years. He sailed around the world, and they were in many, many storms where if he lost his presence of mind, they would have died. So it's same in life. You cannot every time something happens, like Chicken Little, lose your head and run around screaming, oh my God, the sky is falling. So train your mind to stay calm no matter what happens around you so you can calmly take that next step. And remember this. I mean, I had a couple of guiding principles in life from early on, and I don't know if I will remember all of them. But one of them is that the quality of life and your life and the quality of the answers you will get in life depends on the questions you ask yourself. The quality of your life and the quality of the answers you get in life depends on the questions you ask yourself. If you ask yourself, how can I get a job to pay my bills? Well, guess what? You will get a job that will pay your bills. And then when you lose that job, oh my God, I cannot pay my bills. But if you ask yourself, how can I make $1 million? What am I passionate about? Well, and when I was young, I didn't care about passion. I would have done anything to make that million, right? I didn't care about the million, basically. That was just a out there number. What I cared about was I wanted to wear a suit and a tie, and I wanted to feel important, that I matter, because when I was a kid, I was called retarded and stupid, and you'll never make it. One of my teachers said that, Sebastian, you won't even be able to drive a garbage truck. You'll be the guy who will put the garbage into the truck. That's the only job you will ever get. That affected my all of this negativity that came from everyone or lots of people around me. So I wanted to wear a suit and a tie, and I wanted to move around, meet people, help. And I did not want to be in an office. I wanted to travel, but I didn't know what that was. So the million was just a out there something. The main thing was that I wanted to make more money than, because I used to make $100 a month. That like literally was not a month, not a week, and they paid you once a month. That was not enough to eat from beginning of month to the end of month. So I was getting tips also, and so that's how I would go from month beginning to the end.
The idea behind mindset and money is something that a lot of young people are trying to build as they either progress in their entrepreneurial journey, or there's something that they're trying to build up before they even start. What did the feeling of making 100 a month and then homeless, and then I think you said you were having the equivalent of 20 to $30,000 days where you were just pulling in a lot of money. What did all of these different stages teach you about the money mindset? And you keep talking about the quality of the answers you get is directly proportionate to the quality of the questions. Did your questions change as you went through those different stages?
I think these guiding principles stay the same, and this one about the questions. I mean, once you ask that question and you stick to it, like you say, how can I become that guy with the suit and tie and feeling important, doing something that I love? So that was also kind of important. But when I was younger, it didn't matter. I would have done anything to break out from that $100 a month. How the mindset changes and how it feels and all that. Again, the key is not to just, like in the Secret, in the movie, it says he was getting bills every day in the mail, and then he learned about the law of attraction, so he was thinking, chicks in the mail, chicks in the mail. And then lo and behold, when he was going to the mailbox, there were checks in the mail. So the key is, when opportunity comes, be ready. Your ship will never come in if you're not in the port and you're not ready to board. So make sure that you are ready. So as I said, I enrolled with this network marketing program. It was a giant Hungarian-Austrian joint venture. They had like 10,000 sales agents. I was one of them. Couldn't sell anything because I was going to companies trying to sell wholesale. But then Hungary opened up because communism fell, became a democracy, opened up to foreigners, and lots of foreigners started coming, setting up companies in Hungary. Because I was going through the transition of becoming a Hungarian citizen also, I was spending lots of time at the police station, which in Hungary, that's where you were handling these things like green card and all that. And there were lots of people who spoke English, couldn't speak Hungarian. So I was helping them. In the beginning, I was just helping them for free. People started hiring me, and I was charging $1 an hour. I used to make about 30 cents an hour. So now I was making $1 an hour. Yes. And I started working from morning till evening. I had to unplug my phone at night because they would call me in the middle of the night. They wanted my services. I wasn't smart enough to raise my fee. Nobody mentored me at that time. So mentorship is crucial. Find somebody who's doing what you want to achieve and let them mentor you. And many of us do it for free. These days, you will find many who will charge 10,000, 50,000, 100,000 for mentorship. And then this lady comes to me one day and she says, "How much do you charge?" I'm like, $1 an hour. She says, "I cannot tell that to my boss." She says, "Is $10 an hour okay?" And then my fee went up to $10 an hour. And again, I worked the whole day. And then I became smarter and I said $100 per whatever I needed to do. If I have to go do customs for you or whatever to talk to an attorney, it's $100. And they paid it. So suddenly I started having savings. I mean, it was amazing. And after a while, I noticed that these people who I was helping, they set up companies in Hungary. And some of them started going to the flea market with one box. And like 6 months later, they drive a 10-year-old good looking Mercedes. And they have a big store instead of going to the flea market. I'm like, whoa, I've been watching them. I've been helping them. Why am I wasting my time translating? Let me do what they do. So I started selling in the flea market, making $5 a day, $10 a day. That was a great day. Quick story. Somebody offered me to sell the store to me for $1,000, the right to rent the store. And he said, "You will make $10,000 a day." And I'm like, "Yeah, whatever. I will believe anything you say. Fairy tales." And he said, "Well, try it for 30 days. If I'm lying, you just walk away. If it's true what I told you, then you pay me my $1,000. So I did. This is one of those things that, oh my God, like if this guy just walked away. So this was a turning point in my life because we started making $7, $8, $9, $10,000 a day. And then we started getting different products and we expanded. We bought more places, a couple of stores in town. We also had a couple of employees in the flea markets, and we started making $20,000, $30,000 a day. Our profit was about 40%, 30 to 40%. We had a wholesale business also, and how it felt, the mindset and all that. I don't know. It was such a smooth transition. But let me tell you that when I had that million in front of me, this is Hungarian currency, but it's about $100,000 buying power. When I had that million in front of me in cash because we were not using banks, that felt amazing. I mean, just imagine, I never had savings up till then. And now I had a million of my own money in front of me. And then we were able to like double it. Uh, Almost every 2-3 months we would double it. So we grew at an amazing pace. The transition was so smooth, and because I never freaked out, I also didn't have like that, "Oh my God, yes," and throw the money in. No, it was kind of normal. I mean, it was normal up till I had that million. Then I was like, wow, this is amazing. This is really cool. Something I forgot to mention is that when I became homeless, after a while, I started meditating on the question like, I don't know if you heard about EST or forum, or the forum. Many people who listen, they will know what that is. That's when I quit my job. At 24, I went through EST, and it's like a mind screw boot camp. They call you assholes. You are all assholes. You know what you want in life, but you're not doing it. You set commitments, but you're not sticking to your commitments. You a bunch of like that was just a repeating thing. And some people say, "I have 2 doctoral degrees. I resent you talking to me like that." He says, "Well, you are an asshole because if your life worked, you would not be here. Go to the back and get your refund and get out of here if you don't want to stay." But yeah, lots of actors, politicians went through this, and they attribute their success to this program. And up till I went through this program, I was like a ninja, zen, rarely smiled. And after this program, I smiled. Also, it broke me. I started cursing. I never cursed until age 24. After this, I cursed. The program, it says that it's a release. like you have all this built up stress and all that. When you say 4-letter words, it is that pressure valve off, and it so it changed me, and that's when I quit my job also, because it taught us that, we have all these big dreams, but we never take action. We just allow it to be dreams. In this program, they also taught us that you have a gift. You were put on this earth with certain gifts. Everybody has some gifts, some strength that you can capitalize on, and make some really good living instead of struggling from paycheck to paycheck. And I was meditating on, what are my gifts? What am I good at? And it took me almost a year to realize that languages are my strength, my gift. I took it for granted. And that's when I started searching for opportunities to interpret. And that's what started my interpreter career. But yeah, if it wasn't for that realization, um, then I don't know where I would be today. So yeah, languages took me to where I am today. It is the mindset, because when opportunity presented itself, I was ready. When the foreigners came to Hungary and they set up companies, I was ready for that. And I talked to attorneys and I made deals. I said, I'll do all the legwork, you do the paperwork. Can you do 50-50 on your fee? And this first attorney that I talked to, very young attorney, he said yes. So all he did the paperwork, and then I worked for 3-4 days, and I would make close to $1,000 per deal. And I could close 2-3 companies. I could set up 2-3 companies a week. I mean, just suddenly going from making nothing or making a few dollars a day, now I was making 2-3 thousand a week. I mean, it was crazy. So by the time I decided to set up a company, I had the million that needed to be put in escrow or whatever to set up an LLC. So in Hungary, you had to put down a million back then. So I had the money.
So you're fluent in 4 languages, you're conversational in 5, 6, 7,
Mm-hmm.
8 that you estimate.
Mm-hmm.
With that, I'm sure that your skills with communication have also massively improved based on the kind of people that you have to work with, because as cultures vary and, languages associated with those cultures vary, how did you find yourself basically being able to adapt to all those different personalities, and how did you utilize that when it came to expanding out your business?
Yeah, so there was a saying that I heard many times, that the more languages you speak, you're opening up yourself to a different world, to an entire different world. And that's so true, because if you go to a foreign country and you don't speak that language, you're still that, American or Hungarian, whatever, but that's what you are in that foreign country. But when I go to China, for example, and people talk around me and they talk about me, and I turn to them and I speak to them in Mandarin because they are gossiping about me, and they're like, sometimes they blush or whatever, like, oh my gosh, you speak Chinese, and I'm like, 什么我也是中国人, and they're like, what? And so they invite me over, they buy me drinks, and I've never been a drinker, but while I've been in China and I spent 4 months in China, I don't think I had a day sober in China. Yeah, but then I was able to be in the culture fully. So that makes all the difference. And I got job offers in China, uh, and all I had to do, a couple of $1,000s a month, and all I would have had to do would be the mascot of the company. It was a shoe company, and they just wanted me to go with the CEO to meetings and just be. I had this long curly hair, unshaved, looked like a homeless Jesus Christ. But yeah, so it helped me tremendously. The language, of course, connect better with people and different cultures. And I've done business with China for more than 5 years, importing uh, products from there. There's many containers of products throughout the years.
For young entrepreneurs that are listening to this, that are maybe still trying to develop in their conversational skills and their communication skills, either networking skills, anything that has to do with talking to other people that are maybe different from themselves, it may have been easier for you because you understood the language, but what advice could you give them in terms of being able to take that breath and walk in with more confidence and, like less anxiety when it comes to meeting with these people, when it comes to having a conversation, even if they don't feel like they're 110% and they're next to someone who is?
My early years, and when I say early years, up to my 30s maybe, I thought that even though in Hungary I made it to be in the top maybe 10% of the population, like the wealthiest, but I always had this. Maybe in Hungary did not have it anymore because I used to play soccer with CEOs and do all kind of activities with CEOs. But once I came to the United States, I always had this angst in me whenever I would meet a CEO or some millionaire or whatever. So I started doing workshops for CEOs and management teams. And I was stressed out, like, who am I to teach this? I never worked in a multi-million corporation and all that. And here I am. I had the imposter syndrome, right? And once I did my first workshop, it was transformational. I got coached again, get coaching, get mentoring. I paid for it. I got coached on how to become a paid speaker. I was taught to show up a day early and hang out with the people who I will present to as much as possible. So I went to dinner with these managers the day before my workshop. It was a full day workshop. And they were like, I don't know if I can curse, but they were cursing left and right and talking so free. They were just humans. And they had, like, as they were talking, there were insecurities coming out and sillinesses and lack of knowledge in simple things, to me what seemed simple things. And I'm like, wow, they're just people just like you and I. So that, I don't know, like, when we are at the income level that is closer to the poverty level, or even if you achieve some success but you never achieve that, like millions or being a CEO in a multi-million dollar company, we think of those people as they are something special because they are up there, right? No, each and every one of them is just a regular human being like you and I. Some of them will act like they poop gold, but yeah, just avoid those. Most CEOs, top management, multimillionaires, billionaires, they're just regular people just like you and I. And so when you talk to them, yeah, in the beginning you will feel a little anxiety, but just go and do it, and just be respectful. And if you have ADD, especially, control what you say a little bit, but at the same time, be yourself. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And the more you talk to these people, the more you realize that they're just people just like you. And it will become easier. The key is just to do it. People overanalyze it. They have anxiety. They don't do it. The key is to just do it. If I listened to my inner critic, I would have never done it. I was terrified of presenting to management teams. I was invited to present my DISC program to teachers, counselors, and when I went to, especially the counselor conference, I'm like, who am I to present to counselors? They probably learned this in college. I mean, recognizing different personality styles, that's basic knowledge for a counselor. I got the highest ratings at that conference as most valuable and best delivery. And they were blown away. They did not know the DISC concepts. And go around the country, teach this, around the world, teach this to counselors and teachers loved it too, absolutely. So I was blown away that these professionals for whom it's crucial to understand, to recognize the children, the clients, different personality styles, they were not aware of this. So, but yeah, all of this is to say that just go out there, talk, present if you present, and yeah, it's stressful in the beginning. Like when I did my first workshops, I would rehearse like crazy, and I would go to that presentation or that workshop like in a dream. And after a while, it just became second nature. But the key is just keep on doing it.
So as you kept on doing it, you then made part of your business this public speaking. You go around, you talk, you help people. Can you explain a little bit about your journey when it comes to public speaking and how that's helped you in your business and your personal life?
Yeah, I don't think we talked about this side of my life when we had our preliminary meeting. I'm glad that you asked this question because it's a crucial question that will help many, many people. In 2003, I got certified as a life coach. I quit my job. I didn't know about the life coaching industry. And I discovered Thomas Leonard was touted to be the founder of life coaching. Many people believe, and he's said that he was the founder or whatever of the life coaching. And when I discovered life coaching, on that day he died. And I'm sitting in my office. I worked in a corporate environment 3.5 years. It was a contract program where I did the welfare to work program. So I managed three programs in 5 counties. I did that for 3.5 years, and that's when I discovered Thomas Leonard. He died. I discovered life coaching, and I was sobbing. I was sitting in my office and I was sobbing, mourning Thomas Leonard, who I've never heard of. I just discovered, but reading about the work he did and how he helped the world and how many lives he impacted. And I said, I'm going to replace you. I'm going to carry on your light. And that day I signed up for a life coaching program, a 1-year intensive program, and I became a life coach certified. And I knew that $550 a month, if I get 20 clients, that's $11,000 a month. Yay! My confidence was at peak, because prior to that in Hungary, I had my business here in the United States. Yeah, I failed the business in the United States big time. But then I had this corporate gig where again, my confidence was super high. And a year later, after I started my coaching business, I had 1 client. Very humbling, very painful, ashamed for my wife that I'm breathing the air and all that, and I'm not contributing to the household. And then I started investing into marketing courses. And one of the things that kept coming up over and over again, that public speaking is the number one way to get clients. There was only one problem. I had a phobia of public speaking, in your pants kind of phobia. Like if I stand up and speak in public, in about 20 seconds, my voice will start shaking. Of course, right away. I mean, even before I stand up, my stomach will cramp and my knees start feel like melting. I can barely breathe. My voice starts shaking, and I will literally start crying, and I will feel like I'm gonna pee myself. I mean, this is just the reality of it. But then one coach said, will you do what's comfortable, or are you willing to do whatever it takes? And sorry for cursing, but I said, fuck that. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I enrolled in a public speaking college course. Finally, after many people pushing me, I enrolled in Toastmasters, which turned out to be transformative in my life, took my confidence level to levels that I have not even known that is possible. And that's where I come from that phobia. And from giving my first workshops, I had a PowerPoint. I had my PowerPoints printed out, and I had a flip chart with the same info also, in case the PowerPoint doesn't work, in case the wind blows away my printouts. At least I was so over prepared. And when I would forget something, I would lose the track of my thought, which happened regularly because I was so stressed. But I was zen. I was outside. I was trying to show really calm. And I don't know how much I was able to. I think I was able to fool people because they enjoyed my workshops. But when I would forget something, I would stare at the floor and I look up at the PowerPoint and just go with the next bullet point. So I would just completely leave the previous point hanging. I mean, I must have been horrible. When you want to do something great, be willing to do it badly at first. Don't be stupid. Don't charge $10,000 for your first speech. I was a little stupid. I charged $37 per person. I went into companies, and when it didn't sell out, I went to companies and I gave free tickets to companies to let their employees come so I can have a full room. But that's what I did. I did public workshops in the beginning.
But how did this escalate from the beginning to where you're at now?
Yeah. So I went through lots of training, lots of coaching. And one recurring theme that I heard over and over again and completely disregarded because I thought it was dumb. They said, be yourself. And that's when you will be most successful. Be yourself. That's dumb. If I'm myself, they will see that I'm this ADHD, silly guy and all that. And I just kept on disregarding that. But I kept slipping up in my workshops. The more and more comfortable I became, story would pop out. I would meditate before my presentations or workshops, and I would say, stick to the script, stick to the script. I was afraid I would say something inappropriate. But then the more and more I spoke, the more comfortable I became. So that's just the nature of anything. Just keep on doing it, it will become more comfortable. And then a story would pop out my mouth, and I'm like, what are you doing? Because I talk to myself when I present. What are you doing? But the train left the station, so I had to let the story go. And sometimes these jokes would come out. I see humor in everything. So it would just slip out something, and from outside, I'm like, dude, what the heck? Key, if you do public speaking, is to give feedback forms every time, right from the beginning. Three important things. Keep doing it. Feedback forms and record yourself. When you record yourself, you will see that you keep on touching your nose, or you're jiggling like your keys in your pocket, or you scratch your butt, whatever it is, you know that you need to stop that. If you don't record yourself, you will never know. And the feedback form, feedback, because one of the questions is like, what did you like most? And they will say, your story about, thank you so much for sharing. And I'm like, oh my God, I did not even mean to share that. And then I loved your sense of humor. I loved your humorous twist. I'm like, wow, those just accidentally slipped up. So I started allowing myself to be me, and it became effortless. First, maybe 2 years or so before each workshop or keynote, I'd be so stressed. I'm like, make sure that I do a good job. I don't slip up. Don't say something dumb. Don't forget something. Don't make a fool out of myself. But starting in about year 3, oh my gosh, I was anticipating the workshops. But yeah, workshops, I love them. You can wake me up in the middle of the night and say, can you do a full day workshop on improving managers' performance or improving sales performance? Yeah, let me sleep. And then I'll wake up at 8 o'clock and I will go deliver the full day workshop. But you wake me up anytime or in the day, you say, can you do a 15-minute keynote for us? I'm like, sure. When? Next week? No. How about in October this year, right? 6, 7 months from now? I'm like, okay, yes. So yeah, for a keynote, I need a few months to prepare. But I love workshops, and zero nervousness. And even for keynotes, I just gave 3 of them. The last one was last week, Wednesday. And prior to that, for like within 10 days, I gave 3 keynotes. Had a little nervousness, but it was lots of fun. Really enjoyed it. So again, the key is to keep doing it.
Thank you for sharing your insight.
Very welcome, and sorry if I'm verbose, but I'm very passionate about this. So
No,
I need
I
to
don't think
control
anyone
myself.
would be sad about learning more and having more insight into this field. It's fascinating, and it's really interesting to see the growth from where you started to where you're at now.
So all of us, we have the capacity to be like an eagle. I mean, look at an eagle soaring up there, right? And we have the capacity to do that in life. Unfortunately, 80 to 90% or more people, they end up being 60, 70, 80 years old and looking back and thinking, oh my God, I had this gift. And all I did, I worked in a factory doing some repetitive work. I should have written that novel. Should have gone for my dream to do public speaking and get paid $5, $10, $15,000 per speech. I should all over themselves. Don't be that person. Make sure that you live a life that when you, even if you fail, but at least when you sit in that rocking chair when you are 75 and you looking out the back of your home and you're looking down at the sunset, think that it was a great ride. You don't leave any stone unturned.
I think that's a beautiful way for us to wrap up for today's podcast. That was absolutely beautiful. Thank you for your insights.
You're very welcome, and thank you again for the opportunity to share this with our listeners.
And that wraps up today's episode of Vibrant Living Diaries. It has been an absolute pleasure having you with us. A huge thank you to our guest for sharing your expertise and to the International Wellness Alliance for making this possible. Remember, the insights and stories we've shared today are steps towards embracing a life of holistic fulfillment. We hope you've been inspired to take the next step forward in your own wellness journey. As always, we're eager to hear your thoughts and experiences. Connect with us on our social media platforms and feel free to share how you're integrating the knowledge gained here into your daily life. Your journey is important to us, and we look forward to growing together. I'm Danielle Grobman, and can't wait to continue this journey with you in our next episode. Until then, keep exploring, stay curious, and embrace the vibrant life you deserve. Speak soon.